So, Poor Charlie's Almanack is a must-read in my opinion, especially for people that are entrepreneurs, investors, of course. So, Charlie Munger, for those that don't know, Warren Buffett's business partner for like 50 years, maybe more. And arguably, he's just as responsible for Berkshire Hathaway's success as Warren Buffett. Some say more. Warren Buffett himself said that's the case. And he's known for like his colloquialisms and his sim view of investing. Like he really breaks it down. But to me, the most surprising thing to me about this book, because I've read Warren Buffett's books, I've read his biographies, and I knew about Charlie Munger, and I've watched and read some of the Berkshire Hathaway letters to shareholders. This book got me into philosophy. To me, the most important aspect of this book are his philosophies and his mental models. And we're going to get into some of his mental models, but one of the things he advocates is developing worldly wisdom. And I always talk on my other channel in clinical research about being a generalist and pays to understand a lot about a diverse group of topics. And he breaks it down as far as math, science, technology. If you don't understand something, you shouldn't invest in it. And he also advocates for developing a conviction, but taking a long time to develop a conviction on a stock, and then going all in, or as much as you're willing to lose, and almost never selling, with the thought in mind of you're never going to sell this thing. And there's a really cool quote. It's actually on the back of the book. It's there's an old two-part rule that often works wonders in business, science, and elsewhere. Number one, take a simple basic idea, and number two, take it very seriously. And it's actually changed, like I said, not only the way I view life, because this book, For Charlie's Almanack, got me into Nietzsche. It got me into David Deutsch, that I did a book review on, Beginning of Infinity. It got me into Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Got me into Stoicism. It got me into After Virtue by McIntyre, Virtues of Selfishness by Ayn Rand. I understand now the power of mental models. And Charlie Munger's been talking about them forever, but it took me 40 years to realize that mental models are a hack. And everything that humans are programmed to do is to process information in the world, or in the business sense in business, and run it through some of your mental models. And then one of his things is this is why you want to develop worldly wisdom, because you don't want to be to a man with a hammer, everything's a nail. If you only have a limited range and limited skills, everything's going to look like a nail because you only have one tool. By building more mental models, by reading more, by gaining more worldly wisdom, you're actually developing your own mental models and your own frameworks. And I don't use all of Charlie Munger's mental models. He's got a bunch of them in here. And this book is a collection of his speeches. I think it's 11 chapters in total of his speeches, his writings, his interviews, um, how to live more rationally, live better, and help people think better. If you can become a better thinker in the niche of business investing, you should become a better investor as well. So, multidisciplinary thinking and mental models, super important. Obviously, 2024 has been the year for me to develop more mental models of my own, and I went deep down the rabbit hole in philosophical thinking, and it got me into reading the other books I discussed. But these mental models are borrowing from insights from fields like psychology, economics, biology, physics. So you can connect it to whatever you want, and you don't have to use all of Charlie's mental models, but he lays them out for you. And so, lattice work of mental models, I'm going to go through some of his key mental models from the book. So, lattice work of mental models. Munger's advice is to develop this worldly wisdom that I discussed. Get a broad set of models to see reality as accurately as you can, and never stop learning. This is what I discuss again, like I discussed, to be a generalist. And it's a more holistic approach to, in my case, entrepreneurship and investing. But in your case, it could be anything that you want it to apply to. Now, it has also changed the way I invest in companies. It didn't just change my mentality as far as developing more worldly wisdom and going down rabbit holes I never thought I would go down in philosophy. Because some of these readings, like Nietzsche, are very difficult readings. Like Ayn Rand, it's not the easiest topics to read. But I'm genuinely curious in developing more mental models for myself so I can establish this lattice work of mental models. So you have, if you think of each mental model as a node, and the lattice work of nodes is like kind of like the internet. Like this node connects to this node, connects to this node, connects to this one. You have like this lattice work, and you can kind of pick and choose based on the situation you're encountering in life what to use. So to me, the most important part of this book was changing my view on mental models, lattice work, developing my own lattice work, developing more worldly wisdom. You can never have enough worldly wisdom. And like I said, it made me a better investor now when I look at stocks. Instead of just looking for, I used to just take someone's hot tip for a stock and say, okay, I'm going to go in on that one. And then I would end up, I was essentially gambling. I would try to research the company a little, kind of make sure it's not a scam, and that's it. Now I go all in on the company. I'm in like in my Robinhood, I'm only into one company. In my retirement account, I got seven. But on this one company, I know everything about it. I know the CEO, I know who the board are. I've had ChatGPT help me analyze the board and compared them to other boards of other biotech companies. And I know all the press release. I follow everything. It made me a better investor as well. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. And every day I try to test my assumptions. And this is again what the book is good at is don't become rigid in your mental models. If you realize your mental model needs to be changed, change it. Inversion thinking. This is the next part. This is related to that. Solving problems backwards. What could go wrong or how could I fail? And then this is like spotting risks. And this is what I just discussed. And when you find something, you need to change your mental model. So and in the world of business and stocks, things are dynamic, things are fluid, things are always changing. They're never static. Opportunity costs. He discusses that a lot. Always consider the next best alternative when making decisions. So in my case, I went all in on this one biotech. I'll report back when that thing 5X's because I expect a 5X return. But I know my alternative could be real estate or it could be cryptocurrency, which I do invest in both of those. But when it comes to stocks, this is the only stock I see. And yeah, I could have put it into other things that have done better, but I didn't study those other things. So I can't even blame myself for not doing it because I'm not going to go all in with such conviction unless I've deeply studied the company that I'm investing in. And that's where opportunity costs come in. The power of incentive. If you show me the incentive, I will show you the results. And I've used incentives to shape behavior for my employees. But this book reminded me of the power of incentives. They shape behavior more often than we realize. Governments do it all the time. Businesses try to do it all the time. Marketers try to do it all the time. Another mental model of his is avoiding psychological biases. So, confirmation bias, authority bias, availability bias. Munger gets into all of them and how to combat them. Again, I do this like it's very easy to find echo chambers that support your viewpoints. I go out of my way, and this book reinforced that, to find viewpoints that are the contrarian to my viewpoint and then really try to be open to it and try to figure out, well, where's the holes in my own conviction? And you got to do that and you got to adjust accordingly. And then circle of competence. So stay within areas where you have knowledge and expertise. Now, we just discussed worldly wisdom and developing worldly wisdoms, but you're going to have core competencies in certain areas. And until you develop enough worldly wisdom in other areas to where you're comfortable exploring those other areas, you should focus on where your circle of competency is. Munger's philosophy on lifelong learning, I share. He never stopped, and it got me into reading so many other things. a few other books I didn't mention yet. The Sovereign Individual, which I did a review on, and the Almanack of Raval Ravikant, which I'll do a book review on as well. So, how you understand mental models can transform your decision making or your daily living, and multidisciplinary mindset leads to better problem solving and innovation. Let me know what you think. This is essential reading for anyone seeking wisdom in life and business. This is just as much a philosophy book as it is a business book. Matter of fact, might be more of a philosophy book than a business book. Explore these insights for yourself. Personal growth and practical application. Let me know if you read this book, what's your favorite mental model, or maybe you developed one of your own. And then like, subscribe, comment, share. Bye bye.